All right, so okay, I just need you to sink down lower, lower. No, like your chest. No, bring it down. Yeah, stay right like that. Right. So we're here with the a different medium here, the video, because Oscar's so goddamn handsome that
Yep, I want to see me.
we got to get him on video.
My voice is not enough.
And then get him on YouTube. Because I know how to do that. I know how to upload shit now, which is great. I'm not computer illiterate. So what's going on? What's new since last week, brother?
Well, I've had an anniversary on Saturday.
Oh yeah.
Took the wife and kid to A&W.
Yeah, I was
yeah, her choice. I said any fast food joint you want. I sprung for it. 10 years.
Anyone,
she deserves
baby.
that.
What'd you get? Did you get a Buddy Burger?
I got the I believe I got the grandpa. The 3 or whatever 3 patties were.
3 patties?
In a lettuce wrap. Because carbs still count.
Yeah. What was it? What place is it that puts the toppings on the bottom?
Toppings on the bottom. I know who you're talking about. It isn't.
Is it Harveys?
Yes.
Okay,
they mess everything up, man.
Yeah, so like I was there this one time when I was like, my Uncle Mark, I remember this. This is one time when I felt incredibly fucking stupid. It was like, I was sitting there, I was just beaking off about Harveys. I'm like, I fucking hate that they put the toppings on the bottom. It just completely ruins it. And he goes to me, he's like, why don't you just flip it around and eat it? And I'm like,
you don't think that way.
Just like,
it's thinking outside the box, though. He's and Uncle Mark went on to invent Apple.
I'm like, I'm a fucking moron, man.
Well, but you'd think that it's going to be different. Maybe it was just an anomaly. They do it as part of their... I don't get it.
Harveys does it that way.
And when you order... when you're just going to toss the bun, this is where things get... Because if they put it on the top, there'd be a little cheese on the burger, and then some would get stuck to the bun because they're low-quality buns. But you would at least get that little bit on the bottom. It seems like it doesn't work. It just sticks to the freaking bun.
So don't go to Harveys. Harveys sucks.
Oh boy, there's a lot.
So I'm gonna make a note here. For 2 minutes, we talked about Harveys.
Good. And fast food.
Fast food.
But then Valentine's came and went by.
Boom.
Uneventful, man.
Uneventful.
Just.
That's the way you want it. What books are you reading? We talked about the books, like, and that's why I say, like, now, like, last week, I was going to... There's this website, I don't know if you know this, right? Oh, it's called Amazon. All right? So
I've heard of it.
Now, stay with me. You can search a book on it, and then click a button to purchase that book, and have it sent to your house.
I see.
Right, so like the chapters, it's not free. You have to pay for it. But...
That's what I don't like.
Yeah, fuck that. Fuck that.
I just ordered something on Amazon the other day, and it came a day later.
Really?
Amazon Prime is.
It's
pretty cool, man.
I haven't got like a.
If you ever need to have something that next day, like I don't think anybody does need that immediate, because nobody's ordering like my chemotherapy stuff online, but I needed this supplement for Nacho because and. So I bought it,
Ignacio.
and I got it there. It was there the next day, so it is pretty cool. But I thought maybe you were going to tell me that Amazon has a function on there that I can actually peruse the book first, and then read a few chapters, and then...
I think you can, if it's an ebook, like you can use like the Kindle.
You can get it
like
right away.
You can preview it that way. I know that. But what I was saying was I was going to take those books that you mentioned, and then... like put it underneath the comments so like people could fucking click on it and see what's it about or blah blah blah, right? And
once this becomes kind of this a little bit more professional, this video is a good start. We can probably get an Amazon. What do you call it? You get an Amazon account, you become an Amazon affiliate, and then you start pimping their books, and then you start getting like. And then we discounts at Amazon.
Then we make the money, man.
Yes, and then
we take over Amazon.
Exactly.
There you go.
Jeff Bezos, we're coming for you.
Craig is on, man.
Richest man in the world is that guy. The guy who owns Amazon.
I saw that picture of him when he was like a picture of him when he first opened up Amazon, and it's like a shitty desk, like landline and stuff like that, phones. It's pretty cool. But in saying that, what have you been reading any books? You're still like crushing those ones, or what are your like some of the books that you have read lately that like you really like say, hey, this is a good book. People should read this.
I been one of the books that I bought, Robin, was Bossy Parents by Tina Fey. I think she's hilarious, and it is pretty freaking funny.
You're making me regret asking this question.
But it's not. It's and this is the guy saying it. It's funny stuff, but it's like
Tina Fey's funny.
I feel like I'm wasting my time reading for like just like enjoyment. I don't see the point. I really like. I mean, I watch TV for that. So like, I mean, or movies. I started watching American Made. And then my pirate site stops at the same 26 minutes and 4 seconds every time. And it just won't go further than that.
American Made, that's
Tom Cruise.
I watched that. It's an amazing movie.
You told me to watch it, and I started it, and I was into it, and now... I mean,
it's a true story.
And I'm thinking of just ordering it on the TV for $5.99 and not letting Robin see it. And you know what? How will she find out? Is she
I can just download it.
She's too busy to actually watch this, so it's not a big deal.
She's too busy.
She just doesn't have time.
No freaking time. No time.
No time. But I think I might do that, and then she won't notice a $5.99. I'll throw her $6.
Throw it.
Come on,
here, take it.
But yeah,
Tina Fey's book. That I won't accept that as a.
Like I'm here at the O'Connell, home, and I see he's reading a book. Like it is big as hell. Yeah. Like, and I mean, kudos to you, man. Like you have a good balance between just reading, like, to learn about people and about life, and if you read for enjoyment.
But that's like fiction. It's like fiction, like space fiction. So like you won't like it because you don't have a fucking imagination.
I do have an imagination. I always
you like Tina Fey.
I escape reality all the time, and it keeps me going. It keeps me smiling. But I mean, it's just I don't know. You read about these these worlds where apocalyptic, and it's kind of
apocalyptic.
Whatever.
But let's bring it back now. Let's talk about one like training wise, or a book or talk about like again. Have you been crushing any more books at chapters like the Power of Moments or anything like that?
I've still got to finish the. We have a computer right in front of us. We can be looking it up, but it's something. Is Daniel Pink something when the power? I want to say the power of when.
You talked about that a little bit there too. But about anything else, like have you been writing? Have you been doing anything like that?
I'd like to say I've been writing, but I'm not.
They can see your facial expression. Now you're like, fuck no.
I'm not gonna lie. No,
fuck no.
No, I'm kind of busy with this precision nutrition course, and I mean I got to do a lesson every single day, so it's like that's pretty much usually the 30-45 minutes that I do every day. I do that, and then I try to sneak away to watch some Netflix shows and something that I don't have to think about too much.
A quick question I had about our Netflix series, Peaky Blinders. Okay.
Oh man.
I don't know if you could answer this question, but I figured I'd just throw it to you. So don't feel like off put. What do you think? What alcohol would I have to drink to get my voice as raspy as Arthur's?
Arthur's. Oh, I don't. You know what?
Shelby.
Probably you need tuberculosis. You probably need that time. I think
he does look like he's seriously ill.
The whole
series.
I thought you were talking about our Ben Tom Hardy there.
He has cancer.
He's awesome. He's awesome in that, man. Like it's a great show. We're pimping out Peaky Blinders. Amazing. It is amazing.
Watch it.
Oh yeah.
Okay, so the books and the writing, right? This is always going to be a reoccurring question. So you got.
I'll try to start.
You got to read up and write up.
I got to start writing.
You got to fucking F this week.
Yep.
And so I can right now that everybody can just skip the first 9 minutes of this bullshit. Okay, so the number one question I want to ask you, among others, and we'll try to keep them pretty small, but like performance goal. So as a trainer, how important is it for your client to have a performance goal?
I think it's
now like, and again, I say performance, so it's a a weight lifted, a feat accomplished. It's not necessarily aesthetics.
And you know what? It's funny because most people are coming to you. I've never had somebody come into the gym and have a consultation with them where they've told me all I want to do is 20 push-ups. That's all I want.
Yeah.
And they always tend to have an aesthetic goal, even if it's wrapped up in some convoluted I want to get healthier or something very
like
general.
that, yeah.
But it's always aesthetic.
Yeah.
But if a performance goal will keep them on task in terms of if you can get them working towards a performance goal and they do everything to make them better and getting closer to that goal. I always find that the aesthetic stuff will work itself out as long as they're following, my recommendations in terms of eating. They're not eating like an idiot. It'll come. I'm not too tied to like this idea that it's because like I think it's always good to try to be better and performance goal is lifting a little more is an easy measurable quantifiable thing.
Absolutely. Yeah.
And I guess someone could argue, like losing 5 pounds would also be, but I think weight is a lot harder to. You don't know, like weight loss is never linear,
No.
and it for some people it dips, it goes up, it goes down, and then they're doing everything right. They might not see the end result till much later.
Well, that's one thing that just kind of popped in my head when you're saying that. So like, one of the easiest things I could do to like lose 5 pounds from now until tomorrow is don't eat anything, don't drink anything for 24 hours, and maybe not even work out, but go for like a long walk. And I'm pretty sure that like I would be very, very close to dropping like 3 or 5 pounds. And the thing is that once I accomplished that goal, I've lost that 5 pounds. But now if I start eating again and drinking, then I'm up 6 pounds. So now I'm a failure. But if your goal was to do, squat 225 for 5 reps, you do that. It doesn't matter if you did it at like, 165 pounds or 205 pounds, you've done that. And it's not like the next day, obviously, if it was a tough set, you couldn't like replicate it. But it's one of those things that it doesn't bounce back and forth kind of thing. So like that's like a long-term thing, like where you're saying is that if you have somebody that comes in and they're squatting, just as an example, or chin, it doesn't matter the exercise, but if you put 100 pounds on a lift or 50 pounds on a lift over a period of time, adhering to like solid nutritional principles, how could they not look remarkably different?
Exactly.
You know what I mean?
And I think, right? It's for some people that performance. I try to focus more on the process. So like just work out 2 to 3 times a week, and keep doing this consistently. You will get closer to. And often if it is, say something like I have somebody right now that their goal is just one chin up, and it wasn't happening because we weren't focused. She was doing it. She was doing a chin up or some variation once a week. I said, if you want to get better at this chin up thing, we're gonna have to make it a priority. We're gonna have to chase it like different ways, negatives, whatever. Mm-hmm. And she's getting closer now because she's taken the time to actually dedicate herself in this way. But I said, just focus on getting in here 3 times a week, doing these. And it'll come, but just the process, just show up. Don't worry about the outcome will be there. Just don't focus on. If you only focus on the outcome, all you're gonna focus on is did you do it or not. And if you, it can be like if you don't, that's all you were focused on. You forget all the hard work that you did leading up to this.
Exactly.
All you focus is like so. It's like I don't know. I think
like I understand what you're saying, like but then I say like okay, so. What's one of the easiest ways to get better at chin-ups?
Lose weight.
Exactly, right? Exactly. So and that's what they say. So, but like in the doing so, like when she finally achieves this goal, would you not be like, okay, you're probably a couple of pounds lighter,
yep.
right? But also very much stronger in that plane of movement. That's one of the things that you see, like just to relate that to powerlifting as well, is that if like you set off to go into a meet to hit, these numbers. And let's say you don't. Does that mean all the training up to that point to get as strong as you possibly can in that period of time for that meet? Does that mean that it was all for naught because you didn't accomplish that goal? Not really. Like, because you still did gain strength, but it's just like it gives you data to work backwards and say, what do I have to tweak here to get stronger? Where did I miss this lift? Does that mean that I should select different supplemental movements or you can kind of look back and say, did I train as hard as I possibly could, right? Or did I kind of fucking half-ass training, et cetera, right? So, like you said, that the performance goal is like, a long-term long-term like fixation on it, but when you finally get there, it's just like you said, everything kind of does like fall into place.
I think the powerlifting thing, so much. It's hard to say. Don't focus on the outcome, because if your goal is to lift a certain weight, and you're going in a meet. Yeah. All they're gonna say is you hit this weight or you didn't.
Yeah.
And they're probably gonna. There will be people saying good job, even if you miss a lift. Yeah. You almost had it. That's not gonna give you a lot of like solace when you've worked hard to it.
Oh God, no.
But a lot other factors, enter into it if you don't perform best on that day. It's not because you're not stronger than you were at your last meet.
Do you know how you know that a lot of other factors will be involved on meet day?
I've never competed, but I got to see
Do you know how? Because they'll fucking tell you. Right? That's where I say, like, I didn't hit XYZ because of ABC. You know what I mean? Or no sleep, no whatever. It's just like, you either do it or you don't kind of thing. Like, but now, like, afterwards, it's just like, you didn't have it meet day. Not a big deal. You didn't hit these weights. It's not... No one's got a gun to your fucking mother's head or something like that. If you don't hit these weights, it's just for fun. But also at the same time, it's like there's a lot of things that you have to be prepared for, and you have to understand that they're out of your control. So, like, for instance, like the warm up room, the venue, it could be the fucking lighting. It could be it could be the actual bars. Like, you're not used to like a 55-pound bar or something like that, right? Like. There's so many things, but it's just like you have to understand. Like, what were they saying the other day? Like the plates in your gym aren't calibrated, but you can't do anything about that, right? But if you have people, like you said, that are so fixated on everything, like you were saying, your client, where you just say, like, if you just focus on like the outcome so much that you don't understand what's happening here, but it's just like you have people that powerlift, they're very like meticulous most of the time, where they're like, are these weights calibrated? Am I eating enough? And they're second guessing everything all the time. And by the time it's time to go just like lift weights, they're so jacked up that like, you forget what they do, and they miss lifts, or they hit lifts and shit like that. But it's one of those things like where, people make it a lot harder than I think it has to be.
I think when you're talking about a sport too, like, even if at amateur level, you're looking at powerlifters. They're a different breed because they don't tend to struggle with the motivation. A lot of them don't have coaches that are like to answer to, that are going to keep them accountable. Mm-hmm. Whereas, as a trainer, these people, like, if you don't keep them, sometimes you got to go and chase them around, and it kind of even shows their dedication. I don't know, because 99% of the people that come to you are going to want to drop some weight. I think that as long as if you can tie your performance goal to something that is going to improve with an increase in strength, but also requires, a reduction in weight. Like, there's certain things like push-ups. You could train it to death with, assisted push-ups, elevated push-ups, bench press and stuff. But if the person doesn't drop any weight, mm-hmm. it's still going to be really, like, really tough, right? And chin-ups even more so. Like, it's going to be difficult. So if you tie those performance goals and they get better, like even be able to do one, it means that they are getting stronger. And a push-up even more than a bench press, because it's going to demonstrate a level of core strength and the ability to stay rigid rather than just kind of plop down on a bench and be able to push. Because you will find those people that can bench press a ton and can't do a push-up. Mm-hmm. And for most people, they don't want that. They want to be able to look like somebody who can do a push-up.
Yeah, that's the thing. Like, when one of the things that I read too, like, and I'm not, you were saying that you're not familiar too much with it, but like Gray Skull, LP, the program, there's a big emphasis on bodyweight movements, and for the sole purpose of aesthetics. So it's saying, like, if you have a goal of being able to do 50, dead stop, no bullshit, chest to the ground push-ups, and being able to do, a set of 15 dead hang chin-ups, and, run a mile in under, 5 or 6 minutes, or at that moment. Like, who can do that and be fat? Like, you can't. You know what I mean? No. Like, you can't. Like, you will be a lean person if you accomplish those goals. Yeah. So the thing is to test it, like, to see, like, if I go on a bar and I start chinning, Okay, I got 2. I got some work to do, right? And it could be like you could be skinny and just weak.
Yeah.
You could do that, absolutely, right? But 9 times out of 10, it's just like if you have kind of those, like I wouldn't look at it to where like, because you could be like husky and like a big boy or a big girl and like, be able to rep out squats after squats after squats. Like, you just need like a set of lungs and on you, but it's not. It's moving external load, but like your own body weight, it's much harder to do to get a lot of volume on it. So that's what they say. Like, if a performance goal were to be, well, to do these body weight movements, the feedback that you would get from it would be that you would have to be leaner to accomplish them.
Exactly.
Right.
And I mean, I think a lot of times performance goals in a gym setting and because of CrossFit or whatever, people will always say, well, I need my squat to be here, I need my deadlift to be here.
Yeah.
And I mean, you could actually get poorer in terms of like body composition and get stronger in those lifts, and for most people that'll get them further away from their goal, if and yet their performance goals that are reached. If somebody says I just and it all depends on their goal. Like somebody comes to me and says, I don't give a crap how I look, I just want to be able to squat. There's my, it's nice because it doesn't put a lot of pressure on you in terms of like testing your know-how nutrition wise, whatever. But
the other thing is too is that like I don't think like nobody says that. No, and they don't. I mean, the other thing is like when it's big like strength gains, nobody wants to look like a fucking marshmallow. That's 100%. The problem therein is like that's when you have like a performance goal when you say, okay, I want to deadlift 700 pounds. Okay, so if that were a goal or a total amount or whatever, that's the goal, and it shouldn't be. And also get down to 6% body fat. Also, compete in a strongman event, play basketball 2 times a week, and do like a 5K ruck. You know what I mean? Like that's when you're getting into like
CrossFit.
You're getting into CrossFit, but you're also like you're able to accomplish all of those things. Like you should be fucking in the Olympics. Like,
well, I mean,
you know what I mean? Like you're a fucking hard charger, right? Most people cannot do those things, and most people shouldn't because. If you go to set out to do all those things on the onset, you're fat, like you don't know how to be lean. You really don't. Like you should be almost lean first. You should know how to do that first. So, maybe put the 700-pound deadlift on hold until you get into good shape.
Well,
do you know what I mean?
I mean, if that, and again, prioritize your goals.
Exactly.
Like, if somebody wanted to do all those things, and that's kind of shows how amazing, or whatever, if you're watching CrossFit and stuff, what you're asking them to do.
Mm-hmm.
Like, you'll ask them to go swimming, and, like, you actually find some of these people, you could tell that they do not swim well. This is not something they, either in their training, they don't have access to a pool.
No.
But you see, when they put that as part of their events, and they have to do it, they're like literally like a fish out of water. They have no idea what they're doing. Like,
you know what though? Fuck, like, I'll give it to you. Like CrossFit, like I've never top you off, brother. CrossFit, I'm obviously not well versed in it. Like it's just not my fucking cup of tea. But like you can't lie. Like fuck, like if you did CrossFit, you look like you're in insane shape. Like your body would demand it.
I think that if you do it at a high level and you drink the CrossFit Kool-Aid, they tend to push a certain way of eating as well, and I mean they really do. So I mean, if you eat their their communion wafers as well, if you eat it like you wholeheartedly buy all this
paleo
stuff,
wafers.
Of course you're gonna look it, and I mean that's the thing. Again though, they are masters of a lot. Or what do you call that? They're not masters of none, but they're good at a lot of different things, and that's what they are, right?
That's the What's fucking the saying? Worst proverb.
What's the saying? What is it?
It's jack of all trades, master.
The jack off of all trades. They're the jack offs of all trades and the masters of none. Yeah.
So the performance goal, to put that to bed, is you need one.
I think for most people, I think if you can tie them into like a body weight movement where it moves you in direction that will get you closer to your aesthetic goals, I think that, and increasing your relative strength rather than your overall strength.
Yeah.
I mean, you can get stronger by
just fucking eating. Like
you know what? You work out and you eat enough, you'll get stronger. But I mean, I would say that's what I would use. But I think generally, like, consistency, man. It's just consistency. Like, if you're performing, for you to get closer to any performance goal or any kind, you just gotta just go and just work at it. Like,
for sure. Absolutely, I agree. Moving on, we're gonna talk about supplements, right? So you told me, well, I asked you, first of all, about, I don't even know how to say it, Berberine?
Berberine, that's the way I pronounce it.
Berberine. So I picked this up on Amazon for $50. So I wanted you to tell me why I should take this. What are the applications of it?
Okay. So Berberine has been shown to kind of not only act as like a glucose disposal agent that's it's been studied right on par with metformin, which is the world's most used diabetic medication, other than, well, actually it is more than insulin, because diabetics type 2 that aren't quite who don't need insulin yet, they use metformin.
So like now I'm this is a legit question. I'm not saying it to anybody watching. Like, you're just saying, like, why does that help with diabetes?
Because
why does so you're basically saying this is on par with metformin, right? Now, like, metformin is used by diabetics to do what?
It's meant. My understanding of it, it improves insulin sensitivity. It also slows down the amount that the liver releases glucose into the blood. Like a type 2 diabetic who isn't quite at the level where he needs insulin. Basically, they're basically an example of somebody whose sensitivity has gone to the point where they need this extra assistance. Otherwise, they're just a few measurements of their blood glucose away from becoming diabetic and needing insulin. So often this or metformin, they've actually been shown to be equally as effective.
On par.
Will basically allow them to get their insulin back to the level of, say, somebody who has average insulin sensitivity, who isn't pre-diabetic or has metabolic syndrome. I mean, this is for the pure medical use of it. Berberine's also shown to reduce cholesterol. It's been used they're showing that it has anti-cancer properties. It's like one of those awesome,
just checks a lot of boxes.
It does, yeah. And I mean, and generally, as you get older, your insulin sensitivity goes down.
Mm-hmm.
So it is a good idea that if you tend to eat a lot, or you tend to eat carbs around workouts, and you're not just not a carboholic, to just kind of sprinkle, take a couple of these around those meals. It's just a good idea, kind of in order to just improve your sensitivity when your body is going to be ingesting the most amount of carbs, which is why you have this.
I
right?
have that, yeah.
Because as far as we know, we haven't done any tests, but we don't think you're diabetic.
I don't think so.
Yeah. So I mean, it really isn't. And I mean, metformin is one of these drugs that in the States they have these clinics where men go into when they're older men, that they're low in testosterone. They go into these longevity clinics where they'll give you what do you call it, low T,
TRT,
therapy replacement therapies, and they also will use this to improve their sensitivity for these same people, and they use them quite regularly in the States in these places. Metformin, though, you need a prescription for,
because it's synthesized, it's a synthetic drug.
Yeah,
right.
It's a drug, and
this is natural.
This is natural, and when they did a study, there was no difference. So it's just exactly, and this they say has again the upside of the other things that it does makes it even better than metformin.
Really,
that's what they're saying. But again, the drug drug businesses, the industry is pretty strong, so you're not going to see metformin go anywhere. But I mean, this is something that you can take, and it's actually been shown, like the fact that they put it on par with something that they give people who, if they're insulin sensitive, I'm having a problem. Insulin sensitivity isn't improved. These people can actually die, So so the fact that they put it on par with that, it's not like the stuff that you'll find in your average diet pill that you're gonna buy at GNC or anything like that. Because although they're starting to see a lot more of this stuff.
So when you're talking about that, and I'm thinking like, so yeah, I get why. Like I asked you to get it, and that's similar to what I thought it would do. But now, so when I was reading this book, Carb Backloading, okay, and I'm sure you've read that, and I'll put this thing. So basically, it was saying like, okay, when and it talked a lot about insulin sensitivity and the importance of it, and it's saying like when you're training, we talked about it before too. Is when you're training, that's when your body afterwards or during training is more receptive to insulin. Is that correct?
Sensitivity.
So that means basically that's saying it's more receptive to insulin, so your insulin sensitivity is at the highest.
It's at its best.
So now the insulin is saying like that's when you're more ready to readily use ingested carbohydrate.
Yep.
Right? Now is that a preference carbohydrate over protein and fat? Is it more likely to pull in carbohydrate or all nutrients?
Well, I mean, they'd say that's the whole idea of the anabolic window when your sensitivity is up.
Yeah.
Insulin helps shuttle amino acids into the cell as well. So like that's why they always say like a ratio of like 1 to 2 or something, or depending on who you read. So 1 gram of protein for every 2 of carbs after your workout, because the increased insulin sensitivity will, and adding some protein to that will actually like
it makes sure that it gets into the muscle.
Exactly. They say like as far as nutrient partitioning, if you have this idea that people that tend to be lean have better ability to take all this food and shuttle them to the muscle and basically forget to put them in the fat. Whereas people that have bad nutrient partitioning, it's like anything they eat or look at turns into fat, right?
Yeah.
Like it's. So,
but and that's what you're saying. That is a direct, like, not correlation, causation, but they have poor insulin sensitivity that this will help with.
That's right. I would say that like somebody like yourself who was pretty well.
But the other thing is now before I forget my question, was saying like, so training induces the time where you will most readily assimilate carbohydrates that you ingest, that you eat.
That's right.
Because you're more sensitive due to like the output that you've put out. It's more likely to be soaked up by the muscles.
Yep.
Now, would it be safe to say that like by taking this, you get somewhat of a similar effect without training?
That's the idea.
That's the idea. That's the whole basis.
For people like a lot of people, like my dad, for instance, he takes metformin because he's diabetic.
Yeah.
He takes this with every meal. He takes metformin with every meal. He doesn't train. His insulin sensitivity.
Jacked.
Well, I'd like to say, I'd love to be able to say that this stuff will, will just make you,
fucking superhuman.
Yeah.
Why did I buy it then if it's not going to?
Well, you already are. Like the thing with you, for instance, like what you were saying, like this won't give you the advantage of taking it post-workout because you're taking yourself at its most sensitive anyways. It's those other times.
Mm-hmm.
And if you're one of those people that plays around and tries to keep their insulin low most of the time and then just tries to spike it around their workout with food, this will help you kind of, if you were to take this in the absence in the absence of carbs, what it'll do is it will put you into that low blood sugar level and let's say ketosis a lot faster.
Okay.
So like a lot of, I like to say biohackers that try to get you into ketosis faster, they'll advise you to take something like this or chromium and if you have access to metformin to get into ketosis faster, which is just a state where, your blood sugar is so low that it starts to tap into fat stores to make fuel. So like if you want to try to, after you've spiked your insulin, but you want to get back down into, because while your blood sugar is elevated, fat loss stops. So like this I use it more for the opposite, is just to get myself down as fast as possible. So
after like a big influx of carbs,
or even a lower one. That
Okay.
I want my blood sugar to go down, or incidental, like you know, in the absence of carbs. And I mean, if you're not diabetic, this isn't like something that's going to throw you into. And again, I'm not a doctor. I'm going to, you know. But I mean, that's what.
There's no need for a disclaimer, man. Pretty much. Right?
But I mean,
Your
nobody's
dad's
watching
Your
this.
dad's one, right?
But I mean, as far as a lot of the other benefits of berberine, I would definitely recommend this as kind of like one of those supplements that you take for like. And I mean, if you're hard training though, this idea that you know our weight training itself, it improves insulin sensitivity acutely, but also like over time.
Yeah.
If you train regularly, your sensitivity is going to be better than somebody who doesn't, and that's just because your muscles are always in a state of repair rather than so they're always trying to build, and whereas you know if your body's you know using energy to like rebuild, it has less energy. Well, it's not going to waste a lot of energy trying to as long as your calories aren't so jacked up. I always say it's always that fight between rebuilding and then that storage. So like if you're always rebuilding, it's gonna do as much as possible to rebuild and you know repair, and that's just something that like you know those people that just do cardio they don't get that they don't get that benefit. They don't get that benefit where they're trying to the muscles trying to repair.
No, there's no like heavy muscular
contractions. And that's the
there's
thing.
No damage, right?
So their bodies like they take in food is not going to go to a lot of it will go to storage.
Yeah,
but
that's like that. Well, that's very interesting. So like you would say like for like a typical person, you'd say that you take this with like
take a couple times a day.
Couple times a day with carbohydrate meals.
Yeah.
In the absence of carbohydrates, it's still not a bad idea to take.
No, and I mean as long as there's nothing wrong with it. I mean there's if you're diabetic, you have your own you know things. You have your own instructions that your doctor set out for you.
It's one of those things I think you say like if you have a couple of bucks floating around and you kind of want to get like you know just even run like a little experiment. So like I've like right now like I have no interest in taking this because like it's just like the whole goal is like just strength training, trying to get like strong. But like afterwards, I'm just saying like when I'll shed a couple of pounds, right, and then just see where everything's at, kind of thing. Like I think that's why I got this like to help me with that, right? So I think, and then the applications of putting on muscle as well,
yeah,
right. But I don't think I'm not going to use it right now for pure strength building because like the whole basis of it is like. I don't know. I don't want to waste them, obviously, but there's just no need for me to, you know, I'm not trying to make new tissue or I'm not trying to, you know, shed body fat and stay like where I use all those carbohydrates. Like I find like I recover very well right now, so I don't need that because the goal is strength. Do you know what I mean?
But we were talking about this once too before about ephedrine, and I was reading in the Body Opus, one of those by a book by Dan Duchesne, and this was like before its time. Like this was a book like written like 20-some years ago. But you know, ephedrine is known as in combination with caffeine and aspirin to be one of the best fat loss stacks you can have.
For sure.
And I mean, you're not going to find anything much better than that. But one thing that came out that stuck out at me, it was kind of that taking ephedrine when your goal is to actually be as big as possible, and because ephedrine itself has an effect on insulin sensitivity. You want insulin you want that spike.
Yeah.
So like if there's anything that's going to make that spike at certain times smaller than it should be, great for fat loss, but not so great for size.
No,
not for gain. So
no.
like there are times when that's why this whole idea of bulking or taking time to actually build muscle and then taking time at a different time of year to cut. And then you kind of put maintenance, and is a good idea because you can't ride. You can't ride a horse with two saddles.
No, like you can't ride two horses with one ass.
I believe both are correct, but I mean,
book of Proverbs.
It's an Indian proverb. I don't know. You can't ride two elephants.
No, no, but that makes complete sense. Like, now the one thing is like now again. With the application of like ephedrine, like if you just use that for pure fat loss, but
I just pop one right now. It's so hot,
but it's so warm.
I'm so warm in here.
But this is the question I say. Just we'll talk on that like just like this week, and then we'll get on to like other shit next week on supplements. But when you're talking about ephedrine, like for pure fat loss purposes, it's great because like that'll kill
Your
that will absolutely
appetite.
kill your fucking appetite.
It's awesome.
So like if your goal is, again is to put on mass or strength, like you need to eat, and that's one of those times where it's saying like, okay, if you're also trying to put on, if you're trying to put on strength and you're trying to put on size, but also you're trying to stay at the same body weight, like that makes no fucking sense. So you wouldn't take it, like because also like you need to eat. Like calories will be like the main driver of like your success in putting on strength and size. So like that's one of the times that you wouldn't take it. The other thing is too is like what I've read and what I understand, and it's great. Like again, the ephedrine, caffeine, and aspirin is amazing for losing fat. Like almost like as I said, your body will run at a higher metabolic rate. And you'll almost like drop. I think it's almost like you almost burn just by taking that 3 times a day, 200 to 300 calories more.
Oh yeah.
Depending on what, and that's fucking money in the bank. If you look at that, times that by 7 times, right?
You feel it immediately. Like
right?
you feel like your body is.
You're looking at you're burning up to almost 2,100 calories extra without doing fuck all but popping pills, right? However, when the goal is to size and strength, aspirin is an anti-inflammatory, and the actual breakdown of muscle tissue is inflammatory. It needs that kind of response, and that's things that I've read at where it's saying like you don't want to take painkillers because you want your body to naturally like heal itself after training it to grow stronger. But in the caffeine too, like so right now I will take ephedrine. I'll take ephedrine before I train.
It's just for energy though.
But just ephedrine. Because the one of the things is that like you'll fucking start to spin, like you'll start running hotter. Caffeine, again, it's like putting more heat on the fire.
Yep.
But in terms of strength training, it's also a vasoconstrictor, right?
Yep.
Am I not wrong in saying that? So right. You're restricting the amount of blood going through, so you're not going to get as good as a pump either.
I think correct? People.
I find that like that's anecdotal. I'll find that like I can get a nice pump if I do not take caffeine around the pre-workout area.
See, from what I've read in my experience, I make sure like whatever gets, I can take ephedrine on its own. Mm-hmm. My understanding of that stack is that if you were to take ephedrine on its own, the bronchodilator, it's
so dilating bigger,
but only
right?
but that's
in your lungs.
That's at the lungs.
Yeah.
But also with like increases blood pressure, so it's vasoconstricting everywhere else. It's like that. It's a dual kind of it opening up your lungs is not it's not a circulatory thing. It's more it's a respiratory adaptation to it versus what it does in the blood supply. So it's constricting. So your blood pressure goes up. Your airways open up. So that's not. I mean, your pumps. I've never noticed any different. Like I take ephedrine too. So and the caffeine. I think just out of all of them though, the ephedrine, from my understanding, the key purpose of that stack is the caffeine and they're synergistic. So they'll work better. They'll work better together, and they'll kind of like magnify. Like 1 + 1 = 3 rather than 2. But the caffeine has more of the sympathetic like. Awake effect. If you take ephedrine on its own, if you're used to it, it might kill your appetite, which is good. And I've been tinkering with this because I'm starving at night sometimes, and if it can kill my appetite,
it's just like a big dose of ephedrine, just like
just like I try to do it so that it doesn't affect
your sleep.
Like I can pretty much take caffeine and go to bed, but like
ephedrine, no way, you can't fucking.
Well, it's like,
but but now like. Because like when I'll train, and this is the one thing that will add to it, so like I'll take L-arginine, which tastes like fucking ass, but that is a vasodilator, right? So
it's one of those like
pre-workout. But that's what I say. Yeah, so like if you take like you take something that's a bronchial dilator, but a vasoconstrictor, and then you take something to vasodilate. But then I almost say like you're even kind of thing. But then now if you were to throw caffeine in that and you restrict it further, and it's synergistic, Like that's what I think. Like I know like if I take that, like I will not get like anywhere near a pump. I won't.
So if you
I won't, and that's the thing. When any time that I try to drop weight, to drop fat, I never get any pumps. Like not like big pumps. Because I'm always fucking popping that shit.
Because pre-workouts, I like my experience with them is like they often have all that stuff, beta-alanine in them. They also have, and before that it was nitrous oxide in there. That would be.
But that's what L-arginine is, right?
Yeah, so they would use that, and then you also get that flush.
Yep.
But often in the same pre-workout you have caffeine, so obviously they don't cancel each other out.
No,
they don't.
But I think that like you're pushing the gas and pushing the brakes on one. Do you know what I mean? So, but that's what I find. Like, so when I go training, like I'll take L-arginine, ephedrine, beta-alanine, and creatine, and just put like Crystal Light in it, down it half an hour before, and just amazing workouts, awesome workouts.
Crystal meth in it, eh?
Yeah, but like I'll make it. Like I don't buy the store bought shit, right?
So I mean, like,
because it's full of caffeine and sugar, right? Most of it,
and it's expensive. A lot of these things are expensive. So you can.
But if it has a skull on it, I'll fucking buy it. Yeah, I'll buy it.
Yeah, and you can buy caffeine for $6.99 for 100 pills for 200 ml. I mean, really, it's. And I think with a lot of these pre-workouts, I think for most people, they have to look at their training and say, like, if they're geared towards increasing your pump, look at your training, and if there's no sets that are going above 5 reps, you're not going to get a pump.
No,
you're not going to get a pump. So like, always look at the training. If you're doing volume training and you're training for size and you're pushing 12, 15, 20 reps, then the pump is something that will happen anyways, and you can increase that by taking these things. But if you're training strictly in the strength, rep range, say 3 to 8 or whatever, the pump is not going to be your
goal. You can't have it all, right?
Yeah, it's not going to be. You want to. I'm sure with you is at the end of your workout, even though you're training for strength, you often throw in
3 sets
the
of
feeder
something.
stuff and kind of the buy. So you want to be able to feel that. And
you do. Well, I just like now, like getting closer to competing, it's less. Like you're gonna be tapering less, right? But the thing is just like when the volume was higher, that was money. It was awesome. It was great. Now, so like I don't need that as much. Right, so like I'd probably start taking less, but I think the consensus is, just so we bring it back to here, like the ECA stack, right, is money for fat loss.
Oh, it is.
But don't rush out to your local Popeyes or Boss and buy it all, because you got to save some for us.
Yeah, and
the fucking price of ephedrine goes up.
I know. Well, it's cheap.
No percent, because no one's cheap. Watching this.
It's also very. You know what? If you're gonna
don't tell them it's cheap. It's expensive. $40.99.
We're gonna be selling it. Okay, I get it. And realistically, though, for a lot of people, I always think like I don't ever tell my clients to
oh God, no.
Right. Only because you know what, there are people that have conditions that they don't. Unless you know their conditions straight up and you have your medical records in front of you, no trainer should be recommending this stuff. It's
proven to be safe. Like it's safe, but the other thing is too, is just like if you do not know how to eat and you've tried pills before to lose fat, like it's just not a good idea, because you're gonna be pissing your money away and not sleeping. Like it's something like once you have like a nice foundation of, I know how to train and I know how to, manipulate my body weight, I can throw this and I can get there a little bit faster.
Like how many years have you been taking this stuff?
Like it off and on, obviously. Like, but I don't know, it's for 3 years, 3 or 5 years.
20. So like off and on, like this used to be like you could buy diet pills, like so Muscle Tech, what's it called? Hydroxycut.
Yeah.
It used to have ephedrine in it. You could buy that once in a while on the shelf, regardless. Now you're paying $50 for diet pills that don't have this stuff in it.
No.
They don't work. You save yourself money. They don't work. And if they have caffeine in it, that's the only thing in there that actually has science-proven results.
Yeah.
So you're better off just buying, pills. But now I take them more just because I don't think my own nervous system is just not very good. So like I mean, it's used to taking these things,
man. Okay, so the next question, we'll put 10 minutes on this guy.
All right,
we'll cap it at 10 because we don't want
to bore people.
Fuck no,
we're exciting.
Okay, so
we need a joke.
They were all bad though.
Really?
Like bad. They were bad. But so the next thing I will talk about, like just throw 10 minutes on it. So like your preferred program. Now, when I talk about like preferred program, like there's things like Grayskull LP, like kind of base programs where it's like 531, Juggernaut, Cube, stuff like that. What one are you a fan of, and why? Because I know you obviously cannot be very well versed in every single one of them.
Nope.
Right, but
not as much as you. You've been. I think like what I like about the fact that you've looked at a lot more programs that are geared towards like strength building, right from the get go, and you. It's like you've gone into this with that mindset going into this, whereas I kind of got into this with like looking at magazines and like reading Arnold's Encyclopedia, which is all bodybuilding type workouts, right? Mm-hmm. So I think like now my compass has changed to like at the beginning they should be developing strength and gaining like kind of hybrid programs, but based around like my favorite one and one that makes the most sense and is simplest, which I think everything should be simple. Like it can't be too complicated. And at the beginning, when you say base program, it's like somebody who's getting into this.
Yeah.
Like it's 531. And I think 531 and I mean for most people they 531 and like I said with other stuff added in, I combine I like 531 and I also like Joe DeFranco's West Side for Skinny Bastards.
Yeah.
And I think it makes it's a good balance of like enough volume to build size and an emphasis on strength.
The simplicity it simplifies, like obviously if you know West Side programming, which I don't, and conjugate training, and if you know like if it looks very complex, but obviously if you're well versed in it, it's very simple. Right? That makes sense. But West Side for Skinny Bastards is almost like it's the simplified version where you could go into it and it's just like it has a max effort upper, max effort lower, and a dynamic day and like a repeated effort day. It's very, very simple and it's like it looked fun. Like it looked fun because
it is.
Whereas like 531 is like it's heavy kind of, and then max effort. Well, like. West Side for Skinny Bastards, like, okay, you're gonna go heavy here, and then now we're gonna go fast, and we're gonna go for a long time.
Yep.
Like it's variety. It's
I think the name itself. Like I went back and started reading this again a couple weeks ago, and they're saying, you know what, like I think 531 for someone just starting out is kind of fresh out of the wrapper, just like ready to go. It's a great, like, it's progressive resistance, it's increasing over progressive overload, it has it all, and the reps kind of add the volume in there. Yeah. And I think it isn't called for Skinny Bastard, but a 531 for that person who's a hard gainer is just the right amount of volume and isn't going to blow them away with just too much. But the Skinny Bastard program, what's nice about it doesn't just apply to people that are, like, any hard, like, if you're a natural athlete, it's perfect. Like, it's like, and DeFranco will say that he doesn't train anybody that's on roids. I don't believe that.
Not Triple H.
Yeah,
I was going to say the game.
No, but he said most of his athletes. I remember reading saying if he found that they were out of there. Like, and so I mean he said like it's just like for instance you'll do your heavy lift and then all of a sudden you'll take a similar movement pattern. So if you did your bench press heavy for 3 to 5 reps, you'd go into a similar movement pattern, dumbbell bench, and you would do as many reps as possible, 2 sets. And then that's it. That gives you your volume, and then accessory work from there. And I mean, it kind of blends that idea of like that Dorian Yates, like you just work hard for a couple sets and then get out,
kind of, and get growing kind of thing.
Yeah.
But that's what I say. Like, so you look at that, like when you. This is the thing. Like when you look at a program like that, like so you look at 531 or West Side for Skinny Bastards kind of thing, and then. It's you have to look at it through 2 different lenses, obviously. So now one of the things like when you look at 531, it's like one of the things that it claimed the original. It was saying like the world's best program and that's marketing obviously, but it's like the world's best program for like raw strength building. So it's like raw strength building, and it's like to get strong, and it's not one of those things where it's saying like to get ripped, to get, you know, athletic and like all this stuff. You can take the base of that program and like in the percentage and the progression, and you can build around that to tweak it to somebody that needs to accomplish those things 100% with like exercise selection, and you could do it long term, right? But if you're looking again at like something like, and that could be for somebody that, you know, it could be for an athlete, and you could make it, but you can't look at the program itself and say this is for the pregnant mom, this is for, you know, the teenage athlete, this is for a person coming back and wants to compete in, like, you have to tweak it, you have to personalize it. It's just a good set of principles and a set and rep scheme that is proven.
Yep.
And it's going to work, basically. You can take a lot of the guesswork out of it, and it's guaranteed to work so long as it's adhered to. The one thing that I like about it, for me, is because it's easy to program. You can program long out. It's easy to manipulate. And it makes sense to do that because then you can see what actually works, right? However, again, if you're looking at it, you can't 5-3-1 everybody because I'm not everybody. So if you're looking at someone there like who sees an exercise, wants to try something, okay, well then you'd look at it under a different framework, you know? Maybe that doesn't fit within the 5-3-1 kind of framework, and you would look at, okay, well it's West Side for skinny bastards, for instance, right? Where it's, can we put it on the max effort day? Is it more of a dynamic kind of thing? Is it a repeated effort to kind of bring that variety into it? And then when would you change it throughout cycle to cycle if you need to, kind of thing, right? So that's what, like, if you're looking at, like, you know, the general trainee, like a lot of variety and like strength building, as opposed to somebody that wants to be as strong as possible, where the emphasis has to be elsewhere, kind of thing.
And I think generally, like, your point exactly, like if somebody comes into you and he, for whatever reason, no legs, whatever, 5-3-1, like that rep scheme, for instance, if their whole leg repertoire is the leg press.
Yeah.
The 5 reps in the leg press, I mean, it just doesn't, I don't think it will have the same effect as it would, you know, if we're talking about a squat or a split squat or deadlift versus, you know, like a whole body movement versus something that's kind of a little bit more isolated. So, I mean, it wouldn't work for them. Or, you know, somebody's training for arm wrestling. You know, are you going to put them on this bicep program, you know, the 5-3-1 program? I mean, if they're in a strict curl competition, maybe.
Yeah.
But I mean, it's only if max strength is their number one thing.
Paramount kind of thing. Right?
But I think if you're building at the beginning, it pays for any newbie to just focus on some strength building, and then that'll get them closer, even if their goal is size.
That was it. Like when you look at it, so one of the things that like it's changed now. Like I haven't even been training people for that long, or been like in the industry like for that long, but you can see that like beforehand it was everybody should do starting strength, and starting strength was more of a full body program 3 times a week.
Yep.
Right. And it was like, then people were saying, no, like this program's far superior. So now, you know, the standard became like another program. Maybe it was 5-3-1 or whatever. But like, it's basically going from like, you know, an upper lower split to full body. Like, so it says like, you know, people will say new trainees full body because it's more stimulus. You get more kicks at the can. Right. But then within 5-3-1, you can make it full body. You know what I mean? Like within that progression. So it's like, it depends on that. Like, but the other thing too, is just like, I was kind of related this question to like, it's not as simple. It's never as simple as saying, oh, well, I'll just get this kid to do like 5-3-1 or this person to do 5-3-1, because like you have to glean a lot of information from them. Like, you know, where are they at training wise? What's their history of injury? What's their history of nutrition? You know, how many times can they train, kind of thing? What are they looking to do long term, short term, kind of stuff? And then you could kind of say, would 5-3-1 be good?
And 5-3-1 also is a percentage based program, so that's a problem. So beginner, It's very hard to get an idea of what a person's, because they're going to get stronger every single workout.
They will absolutely, and that's the other thing too. Is like so like now it's like that was one of the so like now you train somebody for 2 months on 5-3-1, and like they're shaking under a 95-pound squat, but now they're in 2 months time you've only gone up by like 20 pounds in within the percentages, and they're just smoking whatever, and they're hitting their plus sets for like 20 plus reps. And it's just saying, like, now it's like, do you add weight to this? Do you add 20 pounds to the training max? Or do you say just fucking continue on and let naturally just let that weight come down? Like, it'll catch up kind of thing. But that's time. That's a whole lot of time. You know what I mean? So that's what I'm saying. That's the danger of training new trainees and having, like, fixated programs and not, like, having them, like, malleable, right? Especially if you don't know what they're... what their goals are, if you haven't kind of got all that information. But I say, like, nowadays, and I'll say, like, back in the day when I first started training people, everything was 5-3-1 because that's all I knew. So it would be like, but like afterwards it was saying, like, this doesn't appeal to a lot of people, and it doesn't get the best results for a lot of people, and it's not what they want because it can be boring. They don't understand percentages, or percentages don't seem to work with their day job, their daily stress and stuff like that. Then maybe it'd be best, like, where they come in and it's just saying, like, we have personal records that they have made and we're going to work within that kind of thing. But it can't be like, I don't know if you've tried to, like, train 5-3-1 for a long period of time, but when things come to a halt, like, you still try to press on, but meanwhile, like, you should be going back 2 or 3 cycles and then trying to press forward, right? That's one of the things, the principles with 5-3-1, where it's like 5 forward, 2 back, 5 forward, 2 back.
I think you've had greater, like, you've done it longer and you've been more loyal to it. I think because I came to it older, my body, I can't handle the volume of the max rep sets. So I've had to, like, always, like, the newer versions, I've kind of stick with the rep range and then maybe lighten it up to get my volume
Your
in
volume, yeah.
when I'm doing 5. That's just me. But I think for other people that are starting out newer, fresher, it's a great program. And even the idea of just that max rep set on the last set, I take that one, even if I'm not programming close to 5-3-1. If I'm working a weight and I can see that it's heavy enough to challenge them in the rep range that I want, and their form isn't bad, I'll just take the last set and say, this is your last set. Let's take it for a ride. And for a lot of people, the newer they are to training, that one rep, that one set to failure is enough to create an adaptation.
Yeah,
and
training stimulus.
Exactly. So
and that's the one thing that you'll see is that, like, if you've read all the books,
I need to borrow the last one.
You'll never fucking borrow that, man.
I won't put it in the washroom. It won't be in the washroom. Oh no, Daniela threw it in the tub.
No. I'd cry, man.
Robin would just rip it up. I said, no more books in the washroom. She better not watch this.
Better not watch this, Robin. But in the beginning of 5-3-1, it was like the plus set, the max rep set is the fucking... That's the king daddy shit, man. Like, you need to fucking hit that. You need to obsess over that.
Remember you,
and
man.
You need to fucking just... boom, hammer it. But even in his writing, and you could see that he wrote that at a time and place where it was like, man, this is what I fucking believe in. This is what I'm getting my results from. And it's his evolution of, like, having trained people, having learned things from the system, and, like, just, like, hammer it out where you're saying, like, if you're getting on in that age and you're saying, like, or that age or your training age, and you're like, fuck, knees hurt, shoulders hurt, something like that, you swap out this bar, but you find a way to get it done.
Yeah.
And it's saying, like, man, like, you might fucking only hit this plus set once a month, or, once every 2 cycles. And that's what you obsess over. You're waiting for that set kind of thing. And then it's almost like it's gone away from, there's ways that you can vary it to, like, train for, like, powerlifting and stuff like that. But that's why I say, like, it's no longer, it's more long-term approach, because it's no longer, session for session. You can fucking hit these fucking pre-R sets and stuff like that. But when it starts to wear you down and everything like that, then you can back off and then you can push. But it's just like, you can do this indefinitely.
Like, as somebody who's approaching a 700-pound deadlifting competition, can you do this 5-3-1 with that max set with the percentages you're using? And, like, do you feel that's the optimal way to train for powerlifting? No.
Like,
right?
so the other day, then that's what I say too, is, like, so when you look at it, like, the basis of 5-3-1 is a training max. So if you take your max, and what I've done, this is what I've done, is that if you take your training max, so like training max or your true max, so if it's 100 pounds for an overhead press, you take 90% of that, that is now your training max, so it's 90. So there's no reason why you should be missing lifts. That's it. That's the whole basis of behind the training max, and it accounts for when you have a bad day and when you have a good day. That's the whole reason behind it. And then there's progressions where you can start tapping into heavier weights, right? But the importance of the training max and not setting it too high is that so that you build all this momentum. So when it comes down to the deadlift and training at 5-3-1, my training max is at 5-15. Okay, so like yesterday when I ended up doing like what's called like joker sets, which is just you take bigger jumps in your percentage, so you're hitting 100% of your training max and then 110, 120. You're going beyond it, right? But it's because I set it so low.
You set it really low.
I set it really low, but you can't argue with the results because you're not sandbagging it.
Nope.
Because like now, before I did that, I went 480 for a set of 12. So I did the sets and reps. I hit my max set for a set of 12. And then I took a joker set at my training max, which was 515. Then I went to 585. Then I went to 635. So the other thing is that I say too is that if I set my training max on my best deadlift ever, which is 675, 90% of that is what? 600.
605. Yeah.
605, right? So it's almost 90 pounds less than that. And you're getting stronger. So that's one of the things about it. Once you start to understand that, it's saying like you don't have to train as heavy as you possibly can to get strong.
And that's what I think a lot of people think.
No.
And you see them.
You have to do a lot of work, but it's the same. Like, but you stay away from injury. You hone on technique. You still test your mind and body. But that's what I would say to somebody who's saying like, okay, like if you could train 100 pounds to 150 pounds less than what you can actually do and still get stronger, why wouldn't you?
It'll be easier on your body. It'll be easier on your joints, on your mind.
Why wouldn't you, right?
I mean, if you were to stick with your training max to the letter at 610, and that's your training max, the percentages get out of control really fast. Like, like on your 3 days, they're at 550.
Yeah.
On your 5-3-1 days, you're at 585, 590, like that.
No, it's just that's what I say. Like, I'd be mangled, right? I'd be mangled, but like. That's one of the things, like, but that and I think that honestly, like, all these other programs out there, like if you look at like 10-20 Life, Juggernaut and Cube and stuff like that, there's these tweaks that people that are well versed in it, they can make the same concessions as I do with my understanding of 5-3-1. Like, there's no perfect programs, some things that you can believe in, but like it's just things that like you have experience in. So if somebody came to me and said like, I've read these other programs, but I haven't practiced them, so I don't know the ins and outs of it. But that's why I would say, like, I wouldn't 5-3-1 everything for everyone because it doesn't work for everyone. It wouldn't. And especially if, like, you're not training them to, like, make these calls or, like, do it to the letter kind of thing. But that's more, like, where it would be, like, more customized where, what does this person need? Maybe they're not even ready for 5-3-1 kind of thing. Right, if they don't have a solid base of strength or it just doesn't suit them. But that for me too is like the preferred program to use and to run through everything for myself and the majority of people that want to get strong. But the majority of people don't want to get strong. They want like fat loss.
Yep.
Right, and that's you can put in that 5-3-1 as a nice strength base and then kind of like I said, hammer circuits and do all this stuff and then but a lot of that's going to be on the nutrition side. Right.
A lot of it, I was going to say, most everything is going to be on the nutrition side.
So the last thing that we're going to talk about here, unless you have anything to add to that.
No, and I think when you're talking about what you prefer, like a lot of these different programs, they all share the same underlying principles. They're all there. Like they're all like the Cube is just a little bit more. I want to say that they've tried to cater and kind of market it more like athletic because they have a day where they do more jumps and throws and stuff like that in their program, on their base program.
That's Juggernaut, I think.
Well, one of them.
Yeah,
I don't know. Yeah. Like, I mean, I know that it one of them was kind of heavy. It cycled from heavy heavy, light, medium for everything. And
that's cute. Yeah.
Yeah. So
Sorry.
I mean, realistically, and their base program, but I mean, like now 531 has like evolved many times over.
Yeah.
And you have 531, you know, for fat bastards, skinny bastards,
skinny
whatever,
bastards.
You know, like
for old bastards.
Yeah, and they, you know, like
there's
boring,
one
but big, like,
there's one program where it's like it's for old guys. It's like fucking 531 for like
beat up.
Yeah, it's funny.
I need that program.
But when we were talking about that, like, so the end thing was saying, like, you wanted to talk something about nutrition, right? So one of the things here, and we'll put, like, you know, a solid 5 minutes into this, because I wanted to ask you, it sounds super interesting, but, like, right now you're studying for your precision nutrition level 2 certification.
Yep.
Okay, so for people that aren't well versed in precision nutrition, it's probably like the most widely accepted and researched, results-driven nutrition company out there, right? I'm sure people have seen shit on YouTube where it's like the ads where they're saying they've helped over 50,000 people,
absolutely.
Right? And it's like a proven, results-driven, habit-based like training, right? So in that, you get like a lot of the teachings and the instruction on, you know, the biochemistry and all of that stuff like that involves nutrition. But like it goes far beyond your knowledge of the fact, goes far beyond the person that's fucking, you know, come in 11th place in the amateur bodybuilding like local show is what I'm saying, right? But like, so in doing that, you know, you're making yourself more well qualified to help people.
Yep.
Right? And that's what I was saying. Like, you were telling me about some way that you can, like, throughout, like, software or, like, a program that you're just recently, like, you know, researching right now and that you're ready to roll out almost soon.
Yeah, and you know what? We'll talk about it more on the next broadcast, and we're going to try to make this a weekly thing, I hope. Mm-hmm. But generally like, right now, I'm at a position where if you contact me to train, I kind of throw the nutrition in as a bonus. So we're always talking nutrition because they all go together, right? Yeah. So nutrition and training all go together. But I was like, my big thing is that I would love to reach more people because, number one, it's good for business, but also because you can help more people. Mm-hmm. And I think more people struggle on the nutrition side than anything else. Yeah. I mean, I was at Good Life yesterday, and I see it. I see these same people. I used to work there 6 years ago.
He saw my deadlifts, man. He saw my deadlifts.
I missed it.
Yeah.
I see the same people that I saw 6 years ago. They're still there. They don't look like they've changed at all. And I know, because I trained them, that their goal was fat loss. They never found it. And that's sad because, you know what? They might tell you that, oh, I just love training. It's bullshit.
Well, they've been at it.
Like,
they've been at it, right? They've been at it.
They've been at it, but they haven't got. They still are at that stage where they think they can outdo a bad diet. They haven't figured out how to change their, you know, their behaviors, you know, their habits to allow them to eat in a way that they get some results. Mm-hmm. So, as like in my present state, you'd have to get at me, and I'd have to kind of look at you, and I'd get you to Food Journal and this and that, and it would be very, you know, like. Food Journal. Like, now you might send me through the internet, which I have at home, on my computer, my desktop. You could send me your My Fitness Pal, and I could look at it and analyze it. I'd send you my feedback, and then we'd work from there.
Yeah.
But what I'm looking at doing through Precision Nutrition and their app called Pro Coach is to reach more people. Is like, whether you train with me or not, you train at a different gym, you could still use me as a nutrition resource. So I could be your coach in terms of not only looking at your diet and what you're doing on a day-to-day basis, but kind of setting you on this path of like self-learning and through the software that Precision Nutrition allows coaches to use. Because you can't, unfortunately, that's the thing, you can't just sign up for it. It'll be through me. I will be your coach through this software where you would log in. It would give you daily lessons without me having to be in contact with Oscar and saying, you know, here's a picture of what I'm eating. Is this good? Is this good? This, you will be learning with me, and I'll be obviously looking in on you all the time.
That is one of those things that hamstrings people there too. Is like saying whenever you help people with nutrition, because like now what you're saying too is that they have that resource where your questions can be answered right away, right?
Absolutely.
So, but that, as opposed to, okay, so like whether you had an iPhone or not, and you can, Oscar, I'm your client. Is this a good idea to eat, right? And then you don't get back to me because you're with a client, or you have your phone on or whatever, and then now it's just like your question answered in that software, right? Or it's going to be answered. Like, I imagine, I don't know how the software works, but I know that like that is one of the things there that it kind of takes that waiting game out, and that's one of the things that like it really like hamstrings people getting results, is like when your coach can't get back to you, kind of thing, right?
I think it kind of bridges the gap because they are an educational resource, and I think their goal with this software is to, and with me as well, is I want to teach you how to eat and not just tell you what to do, and then you never knowing, I don't know why Oscar told me to do that, but I'm going to trust it. No, I want you to like understand the process and learn. And the software takes that one step further, because it will be giving you daily lessons that you will be checking in on, habits that you need to check in and say that you're doing, and it'll tell you, did you do this? Did you do that? And you'll be learning as you go. But obviously, I'll be overlooking this stuff so that if you have more precise questions, I'm there to answer.
For sure, there's the human element there.
But at the same time, if you're at that point where you're worrying about the minutia of like, oh my god, like this is the meal I'm eating, I need to send this to you, and waiter, I don't know if I should order this yet. I gotta wait for my nutrition coach. If you're not in getting prepared for a fitness contest, it's never that essential for you to have that kind of feedback instantaneously. But this is more geared toward teaching you how to eat, and being overlooked by a coach like myself. Whereas, like, it's almost like sending you to like nutrition school, but at the same time, you have a goal and you're getting closer to them. And me working being there to look and teach you this stuff. So
the one thing too is like when you're sitting there and you're telling about it, and one of the things that you're telling me off recording was, an example is, your goal, your habit is to drink 8 glasses of water.
Exactly.
And then every night you would log on and you would say, yes, I did, or no, I didn't.
And that's it. No judgment.
And exactly, it's just data. And then, but at the end of the week, it's a check-in, and you say, holy shit, like, this is for those people that say, I eat healthy, so I just need a training program. And then it says, okay, well, maybe you ate 2 meals this day, you overate that day, you had 6 meals this day, you didn't eat anything this day, and your fucking diet is just like this, and now it quantifies it all, and it says, like, you don't eat healthy. It's actually very, disordered eating in terms of like whatever frequency or food selection or anything like that. And then it helps like take that wave and it just straightens it out, where it's saying like, gets you more consistent, gets you more accountable, gets you more educated. And the fact of the matter is that if it's worked for 50,000 fucking people, like, it's not in like, you look at that, like, if you were to look at that and you say, okay, 50,000 people, and I want you to think of like 5-10 people that and how fucking radically different they are in terms of like, like their beliefs, their training, their food, whatever,
their work, everything.
And then these people, this system, which is just now probably like the system of precision nutrition. Precision nutrition is you're just dialing it up into the software.
It's a little sensitive.
where you can reach more people. Like the basis of the program will not change. Like, they focus on everything everybody always tells you is like whole foods, eating within your calories, making sure you have enough protein, strength training so it works synergistically, healthy eating habits, results based training, and also now it's like rolled out to you. And like I said, contrast, it's worked for 50,000 different people, right? So, you really don't have anything to lose.
And I think the program, what's awesome about it is this idea that everyone does better when they're accountable to somebody.
Oh, yeah.
Always.
Yeah.
And accountable to a date, like in the case of a wedding, accountable to a trainer when it comes to training. So a program like this, it's going to make you accountable because it literally will be something you check into every day. And it won't be something that you're going to spend hours on. It's not like I'm doing a course, so I'm doing the homework right now to like, get this certification. But it's not going to be that same level, but it will force you to kind of learn. And that's not a bad thing. Like,
No.
if you're one of these people that just wants to be told what to do and don't want, then maybe it's not for you.
No.
But that is not a recipe for like sustained results over time, because you'll never, if something happens, you run out of money, you can't afford to have somebody tell you what to do anymore, you're lost.
Yeah.
This will teach you, even if it's something that you do on a monthly basis where you're paying like $30 or whatever to be part of this group, you'll have access to me, basically 24/7. And the program, anytime you want, you can always check in. They have all kinds of apps where you can take pictures, this and that, and you have access to all these coaches. This will be something that over time will teach you how to eat and teach you what proper nutrition is and what's important when it comes to sustainable weight loss or body composition change.
You get the skills, man.
Yeah, sure. It's like going to school,
yeah.
and for a very, very for a cheap rate, really, and
affordable.
Affordable, yeah, exactly. Cheap sounds bad.
Cheap sounds shit.
Yes, absolutely.
Right? No, but that's you're not trying to make $1 million doing this, man. You just want
it's it really is hard to reach that many people right now, because if somebody's gonna get in contact with me and I'm gonna work one-on-one with them, it in the present state,
a lot of legwork, yeah, for sure.
It's a lot of legwork, and you can only reach so many people.
Exactly. So, but there now you're saying, I'm sure you're not setting your rates right now, obviously.
No, I haven't. No.
Not through the roof or anything like that. But I'll tell you again, right? Like we've talked about it before. Like when I was coached by Jordan Sayed, it was the accountability, it was his knowledge, and it was the daily check-ins. Like I said, the accountability, where I got I got really strong, I got really lean. It was really fucking easy. And it was because he did everything. He educated me, and then afterwards I stopped because, again, it was money that I didn't need to spend anymore. I learned what I needed to learn, and then again, when I moved on and I was coached a bit by Paul O'Neill for 2 or 3 months, a lot of valuable lessons there, right? And it was the accountability. It was on form and technique. I took from it, and now again, it's mine, right? Where it's one of those things where it's not one of those things that you have to be completely locked into, but you pay the money to educate yourself. And the thing that's most missed about it on my end though is the accountability. It was just saying someone there and something there to being how is everything going? How is everything going? That's one thing that was worth, just even that was worth the price, right? So now if you're trying to say you have access to the education, you have access to the software, and then you have access to you, then for an affordable price, why wouldn't you do it? And why would you not keep on with it, kind of thing?
And I think what's valuable about it is that most people, for their goals, the nutrition side is the side that will always prevent them from getting to where they need to be.
Yeah.
It's not the training. And for a lot of people, the training is one of those things that it's a love-hate thing, and a lot of them, they never develop love, so it's one of those things that will always, things will get tough, some will get busy, that will fall off. But nutrition is something you have to do every day to live, right? So you need to learn how to eat optimally for performance, for your goals, just to live. So I mean, this is definitely more valuable to get a nutrition coach rather than a weight training coach, and also it is more affordable.
Yeah, definitely.
So when that, in the coming months, we'll be rolling that out, and stay tuned, and hopefully that's something that a lot of our two listeners,
Mom,
Rob,
Mom and Rob,
we'll be interested in.
All right, man. Anything else to add before we?
No, we gotta leave some stuff for next week.
Skedaddle, man. Yeah. So your homework is to read a book that isn't of the 3 and write something. I want to see something from you online.
It's all right.
It's all right. All right.
Something.
Something about Peaky Blinders. Okay,
we're
out, guys.
All right, guys.